What's up, everybody? I'm the Zim. This is the Zim's Video Journal, episode 35. Check it out. So the last few of them, I feel like I've been like, what's up, everybody? I'm going to try to liven it up a little bit because, I don't know, maybe it's because I always record these kind of late on Sunday night or something like that, that it's been kind of on the DL, right? Just doing that thing. But, you know, life's been pretty good. Couple weeks now into 2015. So check it out. I guess first thing to mention, talk about Word on the Street. Episode 6 with Ever-So-Android. I thought it was a good one. What did you think? Did you think it was a good one? I thought it was pretty good. First one I did out of order of recording them because I wanted to hopefully give them some more love on their Kickstarter. I don't know, you know, I'll just run with it. Right off the bat, so like there was a lot in there. I listened to it a few times myself. There was a lot in there that could go into more depth with what the ideas that were coming up, and it was another one of those ones that, you know, we had another whole podcast essentially after I hit stop on the podcast with the ideas that they were talking about. I found it interesting the way their career of their music parallels really closely to the Zim and A-Rock. You know, they were acoustic duo for a while. We're acoustic duo. They decided to do kind of go an electronic route. We're going electronic. And it's interesting to see those kind of parallels. See if you know, if that, how common that is or not. You know, seems this day and age is pretty common. First thing, right off the top of the podcast, one of the things that Drew mentioned about being, you know, getting success in the local scene is not wanting to be a headliner in the local scene. And that's an interesting thing, and that's like something that I, you know, maybe the next time around I'd like to talk to them deeper about, because one of the kind of ideas that I've had is like, I think the local bands in Seattle, if we want to support the scene and help the scene grow, I think you kind of have to step up and say, like, yes, let's headline some shows so we can give some more support to the scene, you know, and sprinkle it in with, you know, like, you know, the goal, you know, he mentioned the goal is definitely to try to open for bigger acts to get more exposure. Of course, that's the goal. But there's also like, does the band feel any responsibility to the scene to say, how can we help support the scene? I mean, they did, you know, do their New Year's Eve show with their friends, which is great. That's awesome. And at the same time, there's like the idea of the New Year's Eve show. You know, it's one of those nights that people are going to be out regardless. So it's not like, you know, it's an interesting thing. It's just an interesting idea. The bottom line of it is, like, I would like to know if the band has ever thought about the idea of having any kind of responsibility to the scene to say, hey, we are starting to get success. What can we do to give back to the scene? I mean, you can't put it all on one band's shoulders or the band's shoulders. It's, you know, there's like the whole network of local music needs to get conscious, I think, a little bit. There's like, you've heard me go on many times, probably by now, that you know, there's every part of the scene could be doing things, could be more intentional about how they're approaching the scene, and, you know, from local venues putting together shows that help support, that have potential crossover audiences, try to get, you know, give incentive to a headliner like an Ever-So-Android. Say, hey, we know you got clout in the scene now. We'll pay you more of the door. We'll give you more money for the show. Let's make a local show that kicks butt, you know, things like that. And the venue has to step up and say that. You know, from my perspective so far, that's not really happening. And give some of these smaller acts that are out there, these newer acts, a chance to play in front of people. And then, you know, and then bands, you know, I kind of put together a show for the end of the month that, you know, I got a lineup together, but in that process of trying to get the lineup together, it was really hard to find a headliner, you know, where the Zim and A-Rock are going to be the headlining band. And, you know, honestly, we're not ready to be a headlining band. hopefully people will be there, but, and stick around for the whole show, and we'll just, do our thing and deliver it like we always do. But, we don't have the fan base to support a headlining band. And when I was working with the venue, the venue itself was saying, yeah, most of my better acts won't play unless they play the second slot. So it's like, that's just an interesting, like, why, why not help the scene by saying, hey, we have a draw, let's be the last act. Anyways, that was a little more of a tangent on that idea. But back to the Ever-So-Android podcast, I thought it was a great one. I really enjoyed it. A couple other things that came up. The whole idea of movement on stage as a performer. We talked about it on the podcast a little bit, and I can't stress enough how important I believe movement on. And we boiled it down. We went, the process of like talking about it, like figuring out what it is we mean. And it's like totally just, we figured out the meaning of it was, I think what I took away from it, the meaning of, presenting yourself on stage is like, express your, it's not good enough in a sense just to stand there and play your song. You have to express, you have to be an actor up there. You have to like show that some kind of thing is going on. And I know it's a combination of maturity as a musician. Once you get to a certain level and you're comfortable, you can express more because you're not thinking so much about, you're not so nervous, you're not thinking so much about the playing. And I firmly believe, like I talked about a little bit on the podcast, I believe practicing that in the practice space, like practice your show. Pretend there's an audience there. How are you going to emote? How are you going to move? How are you going to do that is important, and like, and Hope brought up the idea of you don't want it to be contrived. And I agree with that. And at the same time, you have to practice. It'll be more contrived if you try to do something off the cuff that just totally, it doesn't work. And then it throws your whole energy off. It's like, why don't you, practice, what it feels like to be, on the ground or just whatever, just move around, experiment with things and find. I mean, I personally myself, I'm still experimenting. Like I've stopped sitting down so if you know anything about the Zim A-Rock, I've sat down on a bench for a long time and I thought it worked out, like a stool I sat down on, and I thought I emoted pretty good on that, but I've gotten rid of that and I'm standing now. And what I'm trying to figure out is like, what do I do with my legs? What do I do with the lower half of my body while I'm singing into the mic and while I have my guitar on me? Like, I still feel awkward down there. I don't know what to do. I feel like my upper body, I like what I'm doing with my upper body, when I play chords and do different things with my hands and things like that, and where just the upper part of my body is, but the lower, my legs, I'm like, how should I stand when I'm, how should I move? It's like, still feel awkward. I don't know what I'm experimenting and trying to figure that out, but I really liked what they had to say about, being conscious about the idea of movement and when it just kind of like challenging yourself in that way, and it was good, and it just balls into the whole thing. There'll be this upcoming podcast that I'm putting out this week is another band, the Braxmatics is who are on it, and another band where this idea of making a show, an event, has been a forefront idea and has paid off for them, and is like something that I think more bands in Seattle need to think about when they're putting their shows together. It's not just good enough just to play a show. I mean, if that's all you want, then I'd say, I was talking to A-Rock tonight about the idea of how bands in Seattle don't promote themselves well enough. Like, if you're not going to do the work, if you're not going to put the effort into it, then we can't complain if nobody shows up. You can't do that. You can't say, why isn't there anybody there? You can't complain about them. You can't, if you're not doing 100% of what you can be doing, you can't basically point fingers at anyone else and say, why aren't they doing more? Because you obviously aren't doing everything you can. So that's what I'm trying to do with my music, is just do everything I can. And I'm not trying to point fingers or anything, but I'm just trying to elevate the scene and say, hey, look, there's obviously a lack in this. I'm going to do this and see if we can raise the bar for everybody and get more people excited and get more people out. It's like, I figured out what my tagline for the podcast is. You know, my not tagline, but my sign off line is "Party at the Moon Tower" that I say every time. And I originated that because I really liked the movie Dazed and Confused. And I listened to another podcast with Linkletter on it this week, the WTF podcast, and he was on it, and he was talking about the idea of that movie is like the idea of, like, I'm not going to say it verbatim because I don't remember exactly, but it was essentially the idea of, you know, it's our thing. It was the thing of that generation was creating their own thing. It was kind of like part of that, and it just like dawned on me, like, that's what it is. That's what I'm trying to do with the Word on the Street podcast and get the word out that we're creating our thing. And so it just makes sense that I chose that tagline. I like how, you know, even though I didn't know at the beginning why I chose it, I just liked it. It was just something I liked. But now it has a bigger meaning for me. It's like Party at the Moon Tower. This is our party. This is our chance to party. This is our scene. You know, let's make it our own thing, our own party, and do it the way we want to do it. And, you know, there's no rule. Nobody else can tell us what to do except for us. And we're just like, let's do it, and let's build it, and let's be a part of it, and let's get out and support and do that thing. So that was that. And then, you know, then they also talked about the Kickstarter on the podcast, which is interesting. Another thing I didn't even think about, because I was like, why would you want to use Kickstarter if you could use something like Indiegogo and you don't have a limit of how much you need to make? You just make some money, and anything that you make will help support what you're trying to do down the line. But if you don't have a way to come up with the rest of it, then it's pointless to make. If you need $10,000 and you only make $8,000, then if you can't make that other $2,000 if you out of pocket, then you can't do anything with that $8,000. You know, if you're going down, I mean, I don't know. There's infinite possibilities. I'm like one of those types of people that believe in infinite possibilities, and you know, they want to do. You know, Ever-So-Android has their goal of going into a particular studio using a particular producer and stuff, and at the same time, you know, if they were able to make $8,000, they couldn't make their total. $8,000 is a lot of money to be able to do something with, and they could do it they could still use a studio, but maybe not the same producer kind of thing. I don't know. It's just there's infinite possibilities. I think. And I hate the idea that I'm contradicting some of the stuff that they said. I'm not trying to like one up or do anything like that. It's just fuel of ideas. It's just all about ideas and like what ifs, and like I'm just trying to like it was a conversation that there's so much more that could have been said on and just explored. You know, eventually I hope to be able to get good enough. And one of the things that I've noticed in my own curation, in my own hosting of these podcasts, is I'm hoping that, you know, even though in the moment now I'm having a hard time noticing, like I noticed when I listened back, I didn't even hear some of the stuff that they said because I'm listening so hard in the moment and get, you know, dealing with my own nervous energy of it and trying to figure out how to do this and all that stuff that, you know, I didn't hear certain things and they just kind of went by and you know, I had a question armed, or I was trying to find a new question. Whereas now it's like I'm hoping as I keep doing these things, I'll have this memory of some other conversation. Oh, this other, like Ever-So-Android talked about this. It applies to this. I can hear this person going down the same route. I'll be able to ask a question that I didn't ask Ever-So-Android that can go deeper with them. Because I really, you know, I want to go below the surface. I want the whys. I want to find out the reasoning behind things. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job so far. I feel like it's not just a, you know, where are you from? What's your favorite color? You know, back and forth question answer like that. It's like there's like a why. There's like some conversation happening, and it feels really good. There's something I was thinking about. Oh, no, I can't remember now. Give me a second. Something I was thinking about when I was talking about the Ever-So-Android podcast, and it would have been a good thing to mention, but I can't remember now. So anyways, maybe it'll come to me as I'm talking. We got a show. The Zim and A-Rock have a show coming up this weekend. We posted one of our video channels, so you get to see one of our theZim and A-Rock channel. It's just called theZim and A-Rock channel. Videos. I posted that. It's on the YouTube here. It's on Facebook and all that stuff. So check that out. You get to see A-Rock again. Since I always do these videos, you know. But that's out there. Just kind of goofing around, being silly. I love doing those things. And then, so we got a show coming up this Saturday. I'm really excited about it. We're playing in Renton at Williams Ave Pub. Haven't been there, don't know anything about the venue, and I actually don't know anything about the other bands, St. John and the Revelations, and the High Speed Wobblies. So I'll let you all know like how it went after we do it. And so I guess since I can't remember, the last thing I wanted to mention, I thought it was pretty good. It was like there, but I can't remember now. It's gone. I'll just leave it at this. Thanks for watching. Oh, I remember now. I do remember now. The one thing I wanted to mention, I was debating on whether or not to even bring this up because it's just kind of interesting. And I noticed that I've been talking about how few people have been watching these videos. And I need to stop. I'm going to stop saying that. I'm going to stop doing that because I've gotten positive feedback from the people that watch it. They say, keep on doing it, man. It's awesome. Just keep on doing it. I get feedback like I watch it. And I don't want to make anybody that's watching these feel bad. It's like when you get off the stage at a show and they say, so you think you didn't have a good performance or something, and somebody comes up to you and says, man, that show was awesome. I was off the hook. And you're like, I made a mistake. It's like you take away their chance to enjoy it. And you just gotta let them have it. So I felt like maybe I was doing that a little bit by not validating the people that are watching these. So I very much appreciate who's watching these, and I will no longer say how many people are watching them or not, and just be like, and just put it out there, because that's really the point. I'm just putting it out there and letting it live and do the thing. So thank you all so much for watching, and as always, subscribe to this channel. And go to the description of the video down on YouTube, open that up, and there'll be a whole bunch of links to a whole bunch of stuff. The podcast, all our music, the show. I'll put the link to the show event page for Facebook, put that up there. And that's what I'll do. So I'm theZim. This is theZim's Video Journal, episode 35. And thanks for watching. Peace.